We are living in, well, unique times. Let's leave it at that. Unique times. Boy, you know, the Chinese say, may you live in interesting times. These times are very, very interesting. I don't know if anybody else feels that way, but wow, I'm interested in these times. Thank you, China. You know, we're learning all kinds of new things, like men can have abortions. Except a reporter was out from, I think it was the Millennial, was it? But anyway, they were out and they were talking to these trans people and trans activists at an Lgbtq event. And they were talking about how important abortion is for trans women. This is what they were saying, that trans women will die, possibly, if they can't have an abortion. And I think what they meant was trans man, which trans men, well, a woman who says they're a trans man, right? That's a woman who claims to be a man that's really a woman.
Whatever the thing...
This is so interesting.
Yeah, whatever the thing, whatever word comes after trans is the thing they are saying that they are. That's how I remember it.
So then they're a trans man.
Is that so?
Okay.
A woman who says they're a man is a trans man.
Yes.
A man who says they are a woman is a
man.
trans woman.
Right, okay, got it. So trans women are completely safe because they're men. However, we have to support those trans men who can now have abortions because they're really women and could always have an abortion. But now it's confusing because they're men.
Right, correct. So a trans
right?
man can absolutely, in theory, have an abortion because they are a woman. A trans woman could not have an abortion because they don't have any of the body parts needed to actually have an abortion. There's no womb to evacuate that clump of cells from.
Amen. And I'm glad that at the protest this weekend in Washington, D.C., the trans activist was sticking up for men that need an abortion because they're actually women posing as men. And I think that was very clear from the beginning for really all of us, honestly. But we have that exciting thing going on. We also have Demi Lovato. She's just released a new pro-abortion song this weekend, and I love it. May I give you some of the lyrics of Swine?
Oh, yes, of course.
We have the video. Oh, play the video. Yeah, play it. Go for it.
That is
Come
horrible.
on, or am I just swine? No, I wouldn't call you a pig. Some might, but for entirely different reasons. So she's saying, or am I just a pig? I want to ask you, Demi, are you implying it's okay to do surgery on pigs? And that pigs have a choice whether they're bacon or not? I don't know what that means, but I appreciate that. It's really quite nice. Now, there was a chant also this weekend in New York from trans activists that I found very, very some would say unsettling. Here it is. Here, we're queer. We're coming for your children. That's a snappy number, and it's a little interesting seeing that would be grooming. I just want to point that out. That would be grooming. Or you're kidnapping our children. I don't know what that absolutely means, but I can't think of a good way to interpret that. Now, why would you be doing that? Why would you do that? Why would you chant that in the streets?
Are you looking for an actual answer, or is this rhetorical? Well, I think their defense would be, and again, there's not much of one, but I think their defense would be, these evil right-wingers are always accusing us for coming after their children, and it bothers them so much that we should just come out and say it. We're not really doing it, but we're just out there to piss off those evil right-wingers. Now, I don't think that's a good tactic.
No, listen to me. No, that's a great strategy, and that's why I feel that, people who are conservative should just go to the streets and say, hey, we're here, and we really are Nazis. Hey, we're here, and we're really Nazi. Nobody would do that. No. Nobody would do that as a joke. Nobody would do that to taunt the media, because that's horrible. We're not Nazis. So why would they say we're coming for our children when half the country thinks you are coming for our children? That's the worst strategy of all time.
Right. And it's particularly, when you have the media to back you up and give you a pass on it, that's one thing. If you want to really give them the benefit of the doubt here, which I am not inclined to, but if you wanted to, we used to put out, we had T-shirts and stickers that said "Evil Incorporated," Evil Conservative Incorporated, and it was a joke in that they always called us evil conservatives, so let's just embrace it. Now, that's a little bit different than saying we're coming for your. Coming from your children. That's a real big line there, but if you wanted to really reach and find some justification, I assume that's what they would say. I would assume they wouldn't say they're walking to a kindergarten to actually steal children, but then again, I don't know that I'd put it past them.
And you know who's really getting the brunt of this? The gay community. Where's the gay community? The gay community has... and I don't know this firsthand, I've always just heard this from LGBTQ people before the T was handed, right? It's such interesting times we're living in. I just love it. But the LGBTQ people have told me, and I've heard it in shows, etc., that they have a problem with the T people because it's such a different culture. Well, okay, the T people are making the LGBTQ people look crazy and dangerous. Okay, just crazy and dangerous. And I don't mean the T people. I don't mean most of the actual T people.
Right.
I mean the people that are running, I don't know, some sort of crazy media, let's show up and we'll show them, sponsored by Bud Light. Those people who are behind all of this. Does that make sense? I mean, in today's world, that would make no sense 10 years ago. But does it make sense?
This was just the L and the G, right? It was sort of an L and the G thing for a long time. It was an LG thing. Yeah. And then the B sort of came out there, and people were like, well, the B is a little bit different, isn't it? And they're like, well, no, the LG and the B kind of hang out together. After that, it got to the T and the Q and the Q and the I and the A and the 2 and the plus and all the things that have come since. And you're right. They are different cultures. I've seen gay comedians go off on this, and they're just like, "Hey, we fought for a really long time to get the stuff that we got, And the T's are just coming in and they're just doing their thing and they're expecting like wide acceptance in 2 weeks. Like, hey, we worked really hard. It took us decades and decades and decades to get acceptance in this culture. And the T's are like busting in without all the work. They didn't pay their dues in this particular fight, according to many of the L's and the G's and the B's. And so
I bet you some T's would disagree with the L's and the G's.
I'm sure I do think there is a legitimate, I don't know, I mean, sort of a civil war between the L's and the G's and the B's and then the T's. I think there's some level of.
But there should really, I mean, the B's do not belong with the L's and the G's because you were born that way. B
right, like,
is like, make a choice, man. Come on, make a choice. Mm-hmm. Pick one. Don't stop being so greedy. Pick one. Mm-hmm. Pick one.
That's your analysis of the B's. Okay.
The L's, the L's and the G's were the ones that were like, we're born this way. All right, you're born that way. I'm going to give it to you. The B's, no. Yeah. I even give you the T's to some extent because you feel like you were trapped in your body. Okay, so I'll say, hey. He's feel like he's a woman, been trapped in his body his whole life. The B's, again, I don't know. I'm going to try that one. No.
I see your point, but I do think the L's, the G's, and the B's are fundamentally making the same argument, which is you can be attracted to something that is not traditional. You might go against the grain on some of these things. Maybe you think everything's great. Maybe you think the opposite sex is great. Maybe you think the same sex is great. But it's all coming down to your attraction, right? What you are attracted to, which is not.
It's not because there's also the other B's. The bestiality B's.
No. That's a different
so
B.
that
totally
completely.
Different B.
Otherwise, if that's your case, then I have to have LGBTQ 2 plus IA. And
there's not 2 B's yet. There's 2 Q's.
Plus.
There's no 2 B's.
What?
But I think.
What do you mean? There's no. What's the second Q? It's queer and
questioning. Questioning is the other Q, Glenn. How do you not know that, you bastard?
So can you tell me what the difference is between queer and the L's and the G's?
I can ask ChatGPT that and see what it says. How about that? Is that because I don't really know?
I think that's great. I will bet you that ChatGPT has been waiting for that question. It's like I've got all this code that nobody's asked me about yet.